I'm going to show my web server upgrade that I'm going to do. Right now my web server is running NZB. It's a source. It's a fork of the source of NewsNab. It is, it's gotten a lot of traction lately. The open source version of NewsNab hasn't really moved much because they now have I think it's still kind of open source because it's all in PHP, but they've kind of split off and you have to pay for it. This one is completely like open. It's like free in any way you can think of version of it, and it's pretty highly developed by one of the developers. I forgot his name, but he's a really nice guy, and I've helped fix a bug in here before, and he's just really open to just moving this project along because of the whole NZB matrix, and now NZBX is down. So this is nice. I'm running it by myself, running on my own server. I'm the only one using it, though. I'm gonna have this open up to a bunch of people for API usage, so they can use it with their sickbeard and couch potato setups. I'm only indexing movies and TV shows. You can see, for example, I have all of these movies for 393 pages of index movies. Let's see if this page even loads. I think the older pages would take longer. This is just a front page, but you can see it can kind of scrape some stuff from the internet based on. It doesn't use regexes, but unlike NewsNav. But anyway, that's it there. I guess that thing's taking a while. But yeah, I'm showing why I'm upgrading my web server. This is like the backend script that is constantly indexing, and this thing is constantly running. You can see load average right here. It's like at 6, and this is a dual core system. So if the load average is 2, that means the cores all the time have something to do on average for the last 5-minute average. If this is 2, yeah, but this is 6, so it's like it's kind of like having one worker with 3 full-time jobs that they're trying to do. It means that you're fully utilizing your hardware, but you're not able to do everything as fast as you could if you had a good setup. Oh, what the heck did I just do? Oh, I might have just stopped it. Okay, anyway. Either way, let's see. So let me just show the top. You can see it's all going to be PHP or MySQL because I'm running the PHP and MySQL database on the same web server. It's the processor there is an E350, those really low power AMD ones that compete kind of like in the atom space. You can see MySQL using 100% of one of the CPUs and 90%. The PHP is using the other CPU. They're like just maxing the thing out. So this was a problem, and I'm going to solve it. So you can see over here, I got some great steals. Craigslist, eBay, Amazon, all sorts of places. And I'm going to be upgrading my web server. I've showed my old web server before. It's just a E350 motherboard, low power and everything. But so I ended up finding one on Craigslist. This case, which was missing a panel right here, so I got a different case. So I got this case. It came with the motherboard here, which I believe is an H67 motherboard. It's not overclockable. It's an LGA 1155. It didn't come with a processor, and some of the pins look bent on it, but I tested it and it did work. It does work. So I got this case, messed up case. I got this motherboard and the power supply, 600 watt power supply in there. Not energy efficient, not 80 plus, all for 40 bucks. And I tested, everything worked. The only thing is it does all smell like smoke. So I'm tossing this guy out, keeping the motherboard, and I bought this processor for 50 bucks. This is a G540. Completely new. I bought it. It's kind of like I have a 530 in my. It's the Celeron ones, but they're 1155 sockets. It's kind of like the G530, but I think it's slightly clocked higher, slightly higher performance, like 15% higher. I'm gonna put it in this case right here. This is a pretty crappy case. I bought this for $30, and it has a $15 mail-in rebate, so in total it's gonna cost me maybe like $18 with tax and everything, because you pay tax in the full $30. Yeah, and then I got this power supply out of my nephew's desktop, and then I put that 600 watt in there because this one's energy efficient. This is going to be running all the time. I'd rather have this one in here. So it's going to be pretty awesome. I'm going to have that in there. Hopefully I'm going to have this all running by tonight and just testing it. I'm going to buy an SSD. I'll show you what SSD I'm going to run. I'm going to buy an Intel 320. This is essentially like the if you know the G2 series, the G1 was pretty expensive. Then they made the G2, made it cheaper. I bought, that was my first SSD I bought, was a G2 generation 2, and then they made, instead of calling it G3, this is their third generation, the 320 series. From then they've switched to a different controller on their NAND chips, which some people say is less reliable. These are extremely reliable, though the new controller is cheap, makes the thing cheaper because it's not produced by Intel anymore, and it's faster. And this one isn't even, I don't even think this is SATA 3. There's only SATA 2, but I don't care about that. I'm just trying to go for reliability. 120 gigs, 320. This auction ended at $66 with about $14 in shipping, so it's going to cost me about $80, which is, I think, a great price. So I'm going to end up buying a 320, load my web server back on, everything back on there, just back up my database and my web server files, move it all over. Got some WordPresses running on my web server too. Just move all that over. It'll be extremely fast with the new processor. I mean, these are pretty fast, even though it's a Celeron. It has kind of a bad name, but they're pretty darn fast, and I think it's going to be over 3 times the CPU power of this machine right here. And this machine has 16 gigs of RAM, so I think it'll be able to better utilize that 16 gigs of RAM. And then this will also have the SSD. So I think this is, some of the load problem is caused by, this is running on 7200 RPM hard drives. So it has 2 7200 RPM hard drives in RAID 0, a mirror, which makes reading a little bit faster, but writing maybe slightly slower. So switching from that to an SSD for my MariaDB, which is basically a fork of MySQL, is going to really speed up things, I think. So I think the load is going to drop under 2, because this is also dual core. I think the load is going to drop under 2.0, so I'm not going to be fully utilizing my CPU, which is good, which means the CPU is not a bottleneck at that point, and I can run more software on my web server, because I eventually want to run just like a camera system. So by the way, I bought a new house, so I'll be making some videos just of tours of my house. My escrow closes in like a week and a half. So yeah, this is my not a new house, but I bought a house, you know, kind of crappy old house, but it's all I can afford. So yeah, that's my upgraded web server. You'll probably see it running and see some of the software running on it, but I just wanted to show the hardware as it's going in. So it's just to go over the specs, it's a G540 Celeron processor. The motherboard is some no-name brand. I think it's an Acer, but it was in like an HP desktop, but this was like a Frankenstein system someone had. It's going to have 16 gigs of RAM in it, and that Intel 320 in probably a week or two. Once I can get a hold of that, I'll get everything running. So yeah, that's the system. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys later.